If you're a person who knows exactly what you need to do, but you cannot seem to make yourself do it, then this video is for you. Because in the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through the momentum reset method, a 6-pillar system built around the neuroscience of why you actually get stuck. So this isn't about more tips, it's not another app, it's not another morning routine. This is a system that addresses the root causes of procrastination at a neurological and psychological level, and it starts with the single most important thing I've learned from 15 years working in this space. You are not lazy, you're overwhelmed. And those two things require completely different solutions. Here is what it actually looks like. You wake up with genuine motivation, you know what you should be working on, you sit down, and within an hour you are reorganizing your desktop or watching another productivity video or refining something that was already good enough 3 days ago. By the end of the day, the guilt kicks in and you tell yourself the same story, that you are just not disciplined enough, that successful people have something you don't, that maybe you're just not cut out for this. Here's what the research actually shows. 88% of people procrastinate for at least an hour every single day. But more importantly, studies consistently show that procrastination is not a time management problem. It is an emotional regulation problem. It is your nervous system doing exactly what it has evolved to do. When your brain encounters tasks that are vague or overwhelming or emotionally charged, it does not shut down from laziness, it shuts down from protection. Avoidance is a completely rational response to cognitive overload. Your brain is choosing short-term relief over long-term progress because that is what brains do when they're running too many processes in the background all at once. And the reason most productivity advice fails is that it adds more complexity to fix a problem caused by complexity. More systems, more apps, more things to track and manage, which increases the very cognitive load that caused the problem in the first place. That realization is what led me to build something completely different. So I spent years in corporate sales. I was good at it, but I was always scrambling, always delivering at the last possible second. I told myself it was the workload. I never noticed that my peers weren't struggling in the same way. It was only when I left and started my own business that I saw what was really happening. There was a day, and this is not something I talk about easily, I guess, but when I was standing in front of my laptop looking at a website I'd spent weeks perfecting, every element was right, every word had been chosen carefully. It was honestly a really lovely piece of work, and I couldn't afford to buy groceries for my family. I'd been so consumed with perfecting the thing I was terrified to launch that I'd run out of time and money. I told myself I was being strategic, that getting the foundation right mattered, but the truth was simpler and more painful than that. I was afraid, and procrastination was the only way my brain knew how to manage that fear. That first business failed, and I went back to a corporate job, and I spent a long time thinking I was just not built for entrepreneurship, but I had tasted what that freedom felt like, and I knew I had to figure out a way to make it work. So instead of hunting for better hacks, I started studying the actual science. I'm a scientist by education. I wanted to understand cognitive load theory and dopamine pathways and psychological momentum research, behavioural economics, the neuroscience of habit formation, and I built a system that works with how the brain actually functions, not against it. I tested it on myself, and the results were consistent enough that I knew it needed to exist as a proper system. That system is the momentum reset method. The momentum reset method is not a productivity system. I want to be clear about that because I know you have tried productivity systems. Most of us have, and most of them work for a few days, and then the underlying issues take over and you are back to where you started. This is a nervous system reset for people. It is built around 6 pillars, and each one addresses a different root cause of procrastination, not the symptoms, the actual causes. Most systems address one thing, usually tasks or time or motivation, but procrastination is multi-layered. It's about the clarity of your tasks and the cognitive load in your mind and your brain's reward system and the language you use with yourself and your nervous system state and psychological momentum. If you only fix one of these, the others will drag you back. Fix all 6 and something fundamentally shifts. Productivity stops feeling like a battle. It starts feeling like your natural state where you belong. Let me walk you through each pillar. Pillar 1 is called the micro mission shift. Here's the problem it solves. You sit down to work and your task list says something like work on marketing or finish the project, and your brain looks at that and does not know where to start, so it doesn't start at all. Vague tasks are not tasks. They are projects disguised as tasks, and your brain cannot find the finish line, so the Zeigarnik effect, your brain's built-in drive to completion, has nothing to lock onto. The micro mission shift transforms overwhelming projects into crystal clear, 15-minute missions. So instead of work on marketing, your micro mission becomes, I'll write 3 LinkedIn posts by 2 p.m. so my content calendar is 60% complete. Your brain now knows exactly what done looks like, and research shows that clarity of task objective is one of the strongest predictors of whether people actually start. Pillar 2 is the overwhelm audit. Your brain is running dozens of background processes right now, unfinished commitments, pending decisions, things you said you'd do but haven't done. Each one of those is an open loop, consuming working memory you need for actual focused work. Cognitive load theory tells us that our working memory has a hard limit. When we exceed it, mental fog sets in, decision quality drops, focus becomes neurologically difficult. The overwhelm audit is a systematic protocol to identify every open loop and either close it, capture it properly, or eliminate it entirely. It doesn't just make you feel better, it literally frees up cognitive resources for the work that actually matters. Pillar 3 is the dopamine anchor. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Your brain has been conditioned. Every time your phone pings, dopamine fires. Every time you check social media, dopamine fires. Every time you avoid a difficult task in favour of something else, dopamine fires. And that conditioning is happening at a neurological level, which is why willpower alone cannot override it. The dopamine anchor works with that system instead of against it. Using conditioning techniques from behavioural psychology, we can systematically pair productive cues with positive sensory experiences so that your brain begins to release dopamine in anticipation of work rather than in anticipation of avoidance. You are not fighting your reward system, you are rewiring it. Pillar 4 is the task reframe trick. The specific words you use when you think about your work are programming your brain's motivational system, and most of us are using language that causes automatic resistance before we even begin. 3 words change everything. When you say, I have to write this email, you are activating neural pathways associated with obligation, external pressure, and constraint. When you reframe that as, I get to write this email, you activate a completely different network, one associated with choice, agency and intrinsic motivation. This isn't positive thinking, this is neuroscience, and the research from cognitive behavioural therapy is clear. Change the language and the emotional response changes automatically. Change the emotional response and the behaviour follows. Pillar 5 is the 5-5-5 reset breath. When your nervous system is stuck in fight or flight mode, focused work is neurologically difficult. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for complex thinking, decision making, and executive function, is literally less active when your sympathetic nervous system is dominant. The 5-5-5 is a 60-second breathing technique that shifts your nervous system state on demand. Inhale for 5 seconds, hold for 5, exhale for 5, repeat 5 times. Research shows this activates the vagus nerve, restores parasympathetic balance, and can shift heart rate variability within 30 to 60 seconds. I use it before every important work session. It is the simplest tool in the method and often the most immediately powerful. And pillar 6 is the 15-minute momentum sprint. Most people wait to feel motivated before they start, but motivation does not precede action, it follows it, and the neuroscience of psychological momentum is clear. Completion triggers dopamine release, and that dopamine creates the conditions that make the next action easier, faster, and more enjoyable. The momentum sprint is a structured 15-minute work block designed to generate that first completion as quickly as possible so that the momentum compounds. Studies of elite performers across multiple fields show that the ability to generate momentum, sequential completions that build on each other, is one of the strongest predictors of sustained high performance. One sprint creates the conditions for the next one, and the next one creates the conditions for a flow state. It's not about forcing yourself to work harder, it is about engineering the psychological conditions where working well becomes your natural state. When all 6 of these pillars work together, the shift is not just in how much you get done, it is in your relationships with work itself. You stop fighting procrastination and start understanding it. You stop trying to discipline yourself into productivity and start engineering the psychological and physiological conditions where productivity feels natural. The people who have gone through this system, people who were stuck in exactly the same cycle I described at the start of this video, they do not suddenly become different people. They become the person they already were without the friction and the guilt and the paralysis getting in the way. If what I've shared today resonates with you, if you're ready to go beyond understanding the problem and actually build the system that solves it. The full momentum reset method is available at runningtokeepup.co.uk. Inside you get all 6 pillars in full detail, the implementation tools for each one, and the bonus resources to make it immediately actionable. The link is in the description below. And if you are not quite there yet, the best next step is to subscribe to the channel. I post new content on procrastination, overwhelm, and momentum every week, and I have linked to the most relevant video in the description so you have somewhere to go next. I'm Andrew, this is Running to Keep Up, and I will see you in the next video.